everybody, it's Katie. Our second child is now 6 months old and I am finally sort of coming up for air, as someone recently put it. I am trying to start making videos more, on a regular schedule again. So this video is going to be about the pros and cons of having a 2.5 year age gap between children. I got this idea from Jamie, Jaylin Mama. I will link to her video below. She actually has a whole series on having 2 kids under the age of 2, and she did a really great video on sort of the pros and cons of that situation. This is something I think a lot about because we started trying to conceive when Alice, our daughter, was 15 months old. That's just when we felt ready. And we did lose a pregnancy between the 2 kids, so we actually would have had if that pregnancy had been successful, our kids would have been exactly 2 years apart. So I do just think about how things might have been different. As it worked out, our kids are 28 months apart, and I looked up, actually the average in the US is 30 months between kids, which actually kind of surprised me. But I imagine a lot of you out there are either expecting or experiencing a similar kind of age split that we have. This is definitely just our experience. It really depends on the temperament of your child and their development. Everybody's situation is unique. I think our daughter's personality is a bit more of a challenge than maybe some other kids are. So her adjustment period to having a younger brother has been a little bit more difficult maybe than it has been for some other kids. But that's just how it goes. You don't really know how it's going to be until it happens. So all that said, here is just our experience, what we feel are the pros of having the 2.5 year age gap, and then also like a few things that maybe would have been, are a little bit more difficult with this kind of spacing. So the first pro was communication skills. Alice hit sort of 2 big developmental leaps in this area at around 20 months and then 23 months. And it was really huge for us to be able to know that she understands pretty much most of what we ask of her, or most of what we're saying, and that she's able to really express a lot. We did have conflicts when she was younger where, we just couldn't understand what she needed or what she wanted, or she couldn't understand what we were asking of her, or what was going on. She just, with the point that she was at, when August arrived with her, communication was just really, really helpful. The second thing was her independence level. She had gotten to a point by 2.5 where she would choose to play on her own sometimes, and you could set her up with a task and she would be, okay doing that for a little while. She's okay with eating. I don't feel like I need to watch her so closely to make sure she's going to choke or she's going to drop things or whatever. She's really at a point where she likes doing things for herself. It makes her feel good. So it freed up a little bit of time for me to not have to be so closely monitoring all of her self-care and all of her, cleaning up and play and everything, because she really does like sort of being the big girl. Along those lines, Alice was also potty trained when August arrived, and this is something that she really chose. We didn't force the issue. She, for several months, had been moving towards that point. This is going to come up on the con side too, though. At 2.5, I felt like Alice had really gotten to a point where she sort of had a pretty good understanding of the whole process of pregnancy and birth and what it would be like to have a baby in the house. I just felt like she had sort of gotten to that sort of level of maturity to really kind of get it. She was also napping regularly, and I just feel like for her to have the first 2.5 years of, me and Mike, our full attention and all of our time and stuff really got her off to a good start. I was also able to reach all of my breastfeeding goals. In terms of just me and Mike and our experience, I think that we felt like we had some breathing room between children. By the time Alice got to be 2, she was really kind of regular in her habits, and we were able to spend a lot of time as a couple and, go on dates again and sort of get things in the house the way we wanted, and we had some just a little bit of easy time before diving back into all the young baby craziness. We didn't take this into account too much, but I've read that physically it's sort of better for the mom to wait 18 months at least between pregnancies, just for sort of the physical toll that it takes on your body and your bones and your iron stores and that kind of stuff. What was a little more important to us was, for our kids to still be sort of close enough that they could really play and be at close points in development. I think especially as they get older, this will be they'll really be able to relate to each other well. And the last pro is that there's only a little bit of sort of gear overlap where, Alice was already out of a crib and into a toddler bed, so we didn't have to give her the boot to give August the crib. Our car seat wasn't expired yet, like our infant car seat. So we didn't have to make a whole lot of purchases. We could really just use the same stuff. All right, now some of the things that were a little bit more challenging about 2.5-year spacing. The number one thing is that age 2.5, at least for my kid, has been really difficult. It's just, granted, this is probably specific to your kid, but for Alice, it's just really been a time of really complex conflicts about things and just really strong emotions. It's just been rough for her. Along those lines, Alice did regress really, really badly in terms of her, using the bathroom independently and that stuff. Probably much worse than we anticipated. Another point is that right now they are very, very solidly in a baby and preschooler dynamic. There's a huge difference in what August is interested in doing, what Alice is interested in doing. And I think that it's probably going to take about 2 years for them to be a little bit more on the same page and a little bit more able to play together. Right now, Alice is really just in the role of, mini mama, mentoring and keeping him, trying to keep him safe and stuff. And she likes that responsibility, and she kind of likes being in that teacher role. I think that can be a beneficial thing. But they're really, it's not they're two sort of babies that can play together. Given where their birthdays are, they are going to be 3 years apart in school, and ideally, I would have rather had them be 2 years apart. I was 3 years apart from my sister, and then she and my brother were only 2 years apart, and they were always much closer in school, and I always had a better sense of what each other were doing and stuff, and I was always sort of jealous of that. I wish that I could have been closer. I wish my kids would be only 2 years apart. Having a longer gap between kids just means that you'll probably have fewer children over the course of your lifetime, especially if you're on the older side when you're starting out, I feel like we were. Some people are concerned about an overlap with private school or college expenses, if that's something you are looking at. Although I kind of have heard it both ways too, because if you have two kids, say in college at the same time, you're more likely to get more federal financial aid. So I think they do kind of take that into account. And I guess the last con would be that I have, again, I've read and heard anecdotally from people that with around a 2.5 year age difference, kids fight more as they're growing up, just more bickering and stuff. But again, we'll just have to kind of see how that plays out with our kids' personalities. I do want to say, if any of this is scaring you, I do want to say that the sort of transition that we had from 1 to 2 children with this age gap and everything has been, I think, worse for us than for most people. I've had people who watch my videos who have been said oh, my second baby is coming and I'm really nervous about it. And I can tell you, I think every single one of those people who said I'm really scared to have the second baby now because of things that you said, they have had a much easier time. Their kids have adjusted a lot easier, and I feel just Alice was sort of on the extreme end. So this is just where we are right now. I'm really interested to see as our kids grow up, and if we have any more kids with different, spacing between them, how things will be different. So stay tuned for that. If you have a 2.5 year age difference between your kids and you have anything to add, go ahead and leave a comment. And if you're watching this because you are expecting a child after a 2.5 year age gap, good luck.